everyone! Thanks for joining me today on this episode of Taking It From the Top, where we'll be exploring the concept of warm-ups with Dr. Shawna Pennock, the visiting Assistant Professor of Saxophone at the University of Las Vegas, Nevada. At the end of our session, Dr. Pennock is going to lead us through a stretch routine that you can do right from the comfort of your computer. But for now, let's dive right in and talk about some warm-ups. Thank you so much for joining me today, Shawna.
Thank you for having me.
Something that you do so well in your presentation of topics is the importance the role of live warm-up plays in any saxophonist or any instrumentalist's life, right? Doesn't matter if you're playing the flute for the first day or if you're a seasoned veteran of the instrument, a warm-up is crucial to your longevity in this career. So could you maybe talk to us about how this warm-up routine started for you?
Sure. So it all started at the very beginning of the pandemic, and we were all told right after the NASA conference, right? We said, everyone stay home, you're not leaving. And I was really sad about not getting to see my students, and definitely took a week of being just super sad, laying on the couch doing nothing. And then I started to think about, how can I keep them learning? How can I keep them still engaged with the instrument? And what can I capitalize on, and what can I take the time to really show them? And so it started with me inviting my students every morning to just pop into my Zoom room and watch me warm up. So it was just so they could just observe their teacher doing what their teacher does every time. And of course, it changed every time. But they could just pop in. And then enough started coming that I wanted to get them playing with me. I wanted to give them that experience as opposed to them just watching me. You know, if you experience it, you will learn it. So I started sharing my materials with them, and then we'd all play together, but that was me just playing and my sound going to them, and they would just have to match it. So it was that every day. And then I thought, oh, this could be useful to my high school students too. So I invited some of my private high school students. And then I thought, well, this could be useful to saxophonists that are not my students too, perhaps. So I opened it up to some of the local band directors, said, hey, give this link to your high school students and tell them they can join me. And it's super low stress. No one will hear them. They can just come and watch, or they can come and try out the things I'm doing. And then I put out kind of a flyer on Facebook and said, hey, all Nevada saxophonists, come join me for a warm up in the morning. And then I started getting messages from college students around the country going, hey, I'm not in high school, but can I join too? And I'm like, yeah, of course, why not? And then some professors wrote to me and said, hey, can I come to this? Like, I would really love to join in the warm-up. And I said, of course, the more the merrier. So what was nice was I could share what was important to me in my warm-up. And for me, that is getting to that point in your playing where you feel like it's go time. You feel that it's that like golden moment, that golden resistance, that absolute feeling of connection with your instrument, and you're ready to do work. You're ready to push yourself past where you were yesterday. So in the live warm-up, that included long tones, that included some articulation, and it also included some scales as well. We're getting our fingers moving, and then of course some stretches at the end. And so it was a full mind to body connection, just getting ready for the day. And I think that is the most important step when you're getting ready to improve upon your skills. You need to know where that point is, where your brain connects into your body and you hit the sweet spot. But taking the time to mentally zone in, I think, is really important.
As someone that tuned in from Michigan with my roommate pretty regularly, I certainly enjoyed it. And I wanted to go back to the point that you mentioned, that a warm-up isn't just for the mechanisms directly involved with playing the saxophone, that it's this truly engagement of the mind to body connection with the instrument, to get ready to play with the instrument. And that's something that doesn't become any less relevant when you're a seasoned professional even. So it was nice to see saxophone professors coming in from all over the country, and even some non-saxophonists tuning into the warm-up thing. So what are the kinds of things that you look for in preparing your own warm-ups?
When I'm getting into my warm-up for the day, I am looking for that. I mentioned the sweet spot, and for me, that is it's a point where my technique has no tension in it. I don't have to work very hard to get the sound, get the color, get the type of articulation I'm going for. It's ready to go. It's there, and I don't have to really think about it either. So for the long tones, what I'm going for is it's that feeling of you're not having to overblow, you're not having to adjust too much here, even though there are slight adjustments, we all know.
Mm-hmm.
It's you lock in. And for me, you can definitely test that by checking out your intonation in the mid range of the horn. We all know that is such a bummer if you're flat, right? B, C, B flat. It's so annoying. And so, even with my students, we're constantly working on getting to that sweet spot in the oral cavity and here and with your air and just getting those really in tune and matching your most beautiful note on the horn. I was asked a question recently about if you have to do a warm up really quick, you have 3 minutes before you have to play, which we've all experienced, right?
Oh, yes.
We got to a rehearsal or a performance. Maybe there was traffic, you get there late, you have to be ready to go. What's the most important thing to focus on? Is it like here? Is it here? And it is, and coming back to what you were saying about connecting your mind to your body. And for me, it's right here. It's that idea of you are in complete flow and your technique is just ready to go. So for me, it's recently, and this is really great. My students all know that I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. So I will use her, I will use one of her songs from the Folklore album, Epiphany. And on the saxophone, or on alto, it's like F, B flat, C, B flat, D, B flat, E flat, B flat. It's perfect for exactly what I just said, getting you in that zone right here and getting your brain in that space and getting your air going. But if you have the time for a longer warm up, getting your whole mind and body engaged it can take a long time. And I cannot stress this enough. Every day is different. Every day. Sometimes this hand will be working better than this hand. Sometimes you're going to be really tight right here. Sometimes it's going to be here. Sometimes it's right here. And you have to do whatever is necessary to kind of work those kinks out or know how to adjust to make it work for that day. Every day is different.
What I loved about the live warm-up especially was to get to see friends from across the country and internationally. You built this community around the live warm-up. Could you maybe sort of speaking to that?
I mean, everyone made it so special, each individual. And what I found interesting was I would recognize people, repeat warm-up family members such as yourself who would continue to show up. Or even if there was a new person in the room, like I immediately would see that. And I think I tried my best to make it so everyone saw everyone as much as possible through the warm-up. I would put the music up on the screen and you'd maybe see 4 or 5 people on the side, right? And I could have just scrolled through each exercise and kept it on that, but I tried to stop screen sharing as much as possible so like everyone would flood the screen and you would see 40 saxophonists there. And you'd see faces and you'd see reactions. And I tried to interact with everyone as much as possible, whether it was just asking a question or commenting about someone's dog in the back that just jumped on their bed, or getting people to just have a good time too. But that sense of community, I call everyone the warm-up fam. And it was really true. During that time when a lot of us could not go out and see anyone. And I mean, it was really important to keep interacting. The CDC and the news kept saying it, like, don't stop communicating with people. You need to do that. Just don't do it in person, right? So creating that time when you could see 50 faces looking at you and interacting, I think really helped a lot of people, and it helped me too.
Again, reiterating, building a sense of community in a time where it is so difficult to imagine bringing 40 people from around the country to be in one place to do the same thing. But you overcame a lot of like technological issues that, like infamously with Zoom, you can only hear one person at a time, but you were able to find a way to get everyone to meaningfully engage through Zoom, even though one person was able to play. So could you maybe speak about how you went about dealing with those issues?
Yeah. At first, that was a huge bummer. You're thinking about, okay, if I want, when we teach, we want our students to play with us sometimes so they can experience what we're trying to get them to do in the music. And when I started this, I thought, gosh, this is going to be a bummer. I can't hear anyone. I can't give feedback. But then it was really neat because I noticed people of all different technique levels or different ages even could participate in this. And they could do everything they could do up to a certain point. And then I always made it clear, if you need a break here, or if you can't articulate this fast, go to every other beat. Or there was always a way to modify it so everyone could play at the same time. And that was the strength of the live warm-up, was everyone could play at the same time what we were going through, and no one was going to hear them. So they had the freedom to try and play beyond what they thought they could ever do without any fear of judgment. And I know we should overcome our fear of judgment, right? As musicians, you just got to do what you feel like you want to do. That for young students, that is tough. That can be a mountain to overcome. So this space that I created, which allowed people to interact when we couldn't interact, also created this chamber of infinite possibilities. You could literally just push yourself to the brink and sound terrible, but you learned something from that. I could see the learning happening on all 50 screens, and that was beautiful.
I loved how you were able to provide variations for if you wanted to make this easier for yourself or more difficult, that there are different avenues that you could pursue to make this warm up your own, like reiterating the point that this is your time to warm up. Thank you for joining me, but if you want a challenge, do this. If you can't quite do this, do that. It's like having a great yoga instructor being able to give you those variations on some of those different poses if you're just physically unable to do something, but still be able to engage.
Yeah. No, it's funny you say that because I remember a very specific instance where you and Eric were on the screen and I was like, does anyone ever play thirds with me while I'm doing this? And you guys were like, yeah, we're doing it now. And I was like, that's awesome. So, yeah, and you're right. When you just said that about how I made it very clear that this was your warm up, I just had flashbacks of me being like, this is for you. Like, this is your warm up. Because I did say that a lot. Oh, man. Good times.
Good time, very good times. And maybe we could dive into the specific specific exercises that you came up for for overcoming this Zoom limiter. Things that I'm looking at right now are like the long tone puzzler, the articulation dance party. Could you speak about how those came about and maybe what they are for folks that don't know what they are?
Sure. So the first one you mentioned, the long tone puzzler, I took a melody from a standard piece of saxophone repertoire and I turned them all into whole notes. Or I turned all the notes into whole notes and turned it into this game. We would play through it. I would try to get people to not cheat and not just play straight through it right away once I put the music on the screen. And it was try and figure this out. And what I love about that is it engages our brain in a different way. You're not just looking for, is this in tune? Am I playing this with, certain other things? But like you're actually thinking more across all the notes and trying to put it together. And yeah, so it turned long tones into a game, which I love. I love making learning or practicing fun because there's countless studies out there that show if you are enjoying what you're doing, you're going to learn it like 30 times faster, something like that. So that was really important to me to make it fun. And all of these little Easter eggs, I guess, that I put in the live warm-up happened because I was getting bored. We played through the long tones, and after 8 weeks of it, I was like, I can't do this again. So then the first long tone puzzler emerged. And then I loved that, and that became a weekly thing. So it was a new puzzler each week. And then after that, we started working heavily on articulations, and we started doing that because a friend of mine had a military audition coming up. And I remember he mentioned, I just can't articulate that fast yet. And I was like, we can work on that. So we started doing the articulation exercises, and that led into the articulation dance party. So for those that don't know, articulation dance party is a pop tune, and I just wrote out some of the melodies or rhythms, and it was always a pop tune that had some variations of 16th notes in there that really made you work and kind of pushed yourself. And I remember the first one actually had two spots for some double tongue, which
Mm-hmm.
was super cool. And the very first one was it's a pop tune called Down, and it's still on the radio. You still hear it every now and then. But there's like this synth sound, and it's do 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 do. And I was in my car driving, and it came on the radio. And as we all know, saxophonists, we just start articulating with anything that's on the radio. And I was like, this is good. I wish my students would work on this. And that was the first articulation dance party.
I really love that you said you're adapting your warm up again to address, things that are more fun, right? I mean, I think I might be one of those few people that like really enjoys practicing my scales, but then my students always think I'm crazy, which is fine, to each their own. But with long tones especially, I don't think that there's any shortcuts to developing these muscles, right? Other than paying your dues, doing the time, and to really meaningfully engage with how to control the instrument at those different dynamic levels. And I even remember, like, when you said you were looking for musical examples to then impose on this long tone exercise, the De Crook example. It took me a while to figure out that it was De Crook, and I was writing a research paper on it at the time. So it was just sort of like finding, and I love that you're finding new ways to re-engage old content, but then finding something new in there to enjoy. So especially with the long tone puzzler, that was one where, like, if you're using fast music, you have time to think about the connection between notes. You have time to really work out the intonation between stuff, and holding yourself accountable to that, because again, no one else is listening. But when you're given that time to do it in a warm up, for example, what's the saying? Kill
Two birds, one stone.
Yeah. So I really love that the warm up routine then serves musical context as you go on. Long tones, drone work, it doesn't have to be this boring thing that lives in isolation. They can truly,
Exactly.
a warm up can truly be a musical vehicle for practice as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I thought it was also a medium for you to also bring in new repertoire for people that didn't know it previously. I mean, for people like myself, I certainly have a lot to learn, and was very grateful that through this we were able to find new repertoire for myself.
Right. I remember that. I remember the week I brought in Romance by William Grant Still, which is a gorgeous piece. And there are amazing recordings out there. I think a couple new ones have just popped up on YouTube within the last year. And a lot of people hadn't played it. And it's not a piece that I see programmed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it deserves so much program time and space. And let's see, another one that I thought was really great, the Higdon Soprano Concerto. That was one of the puzzlers as well. And yeah, I loved being able to share pieces that I thought were special and important, and yeah, bringing it to the warm up fam.
Thank you so much for joining me today and talking about all these wonderful things that you're doing. I was wondering if we could conclude this session in warm up fam style with a stretch down, cool down kind of thing that you'd be able to lead us through.
Of course. I would love to. Okay, so I remember the first thing we would do, everyone put your instruments down, get a drink of water, and just start doing wrist circles. Yeah. Just keep going. And I remember during this part, I never wanted there to be dead air. I wanted people to be relaxing, twist the other way. But then it turned into like a one-woman show where I just kept talking through all of this and just like, so my dog ate a bone yesterday and I think it may be stuck in its throat. We're keeping out for that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
go ahead, punch your fist out and then take it and bend it down. Keep your elbow straight. If you let your elbow bend, you won't get the full benefits, and you want to feel it right here. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Very nice. Again. And let it out. Good. Flip your hand up. You're going to grab your fingers and just pull your hand gently back. Keep your elbow straight, and you should feel a nice stretch right here. Deep breath in. And out. One more time. And out. Very nice. Release. Shake it out. Let's switch arms. Punch your other hand out.
Yeah.
Take your fist, bend it down. You can unfurl your hand if you'd like. Keep your elbow straight. That's the important thing. Deep breath in and out.
I always forget to do that. The breathing. Oh my
I
goodness.
know. Deep breath in and out. Very nice. Flip your hand up. Pull your fingers back a little bit. Gently. Deep breath in.
Yeah.
And out. One more time. And out. Release. Very nice. Next thing, you're going to bring your arm across your chest. Again, keep your elbow pretty straight. Don't let your shoulder crunch up into your neck. Try and keep it down. Deep breath in. And out. Yeah, I thought it was always important to give those little tips too.
Yes.
You really want to feel this. You don't want to feel this, because I've had so many people go, I don't feel anything. And that's literally impossible. If you're doing this correctly, you're going to feel something.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
switch. Release it. Other arm across your chest. Keep your elbow straight. Keep your shoulder down. Deep breath in. And let it out. One more time. And out. Very nice. Release. Okay. Right arm. Oh, I remember I used to say this. Okay, so it'd be arm above your head and put it behind your head like you're going to grab your sword, and then grab your opposite elbow and take a deep breath in. And out. Deep breath in. Let it out. And release. Switch sides. Other arm, hand behind your head like you're going to grab your sword that's tucked away and hidden. Opposite hand, grab your elbow. Deep breath in. And out. One more time. And out. Good. Release. Okay. And then this is my favorite one, as you know. Hand on the opposite side of your head. And this is not very hard. Just very gently pull it to the other side. And you want to think about this shoulder being guided to the opposite wall. Don't let it go sag down. Deep breath in. And let it out. You should feel it right here. Just a gentle stretch. Nothing too strenuous. Deep breath in. And out. Very nice. Release. Switch sides. Hand on opposite side of your head.
Insert all the jokes about Jeffrey watching out for his hair.
Me too. Deep breath in. And out. And really release into that stretch on the exhale. Deep breath in. And out. Very nice. Release. And then the last stretch I'd always have everyone do, because this is pretty much the only other thing you can do without getting a full shot and changing the camera, but it was just putting your hands together behind your back. Twist the other way so you can actually hear me. And keep it down. So you're going to take an inhale. Keep your hands touching your lower back if you can. So inhale. And on your exhale, let your hands rise up. Keep your elbows straight. And the point of this is to pull your shoulders back from your chest. Another deep breath in. And on the exhale, raise your hands just a little higher. Make that stretch a little deeper. And release.
Whew, that one always got me.
I know. As saxophonists, a lot of us just kind of crunch down. We crunch in. Our chest is kind of like rolled forward, and then our shoulders just get so tight, and we get really tight here. So it's so important to just release. And it's not about pulling back. You'll get into trouble if you think about it that way. You have to think about your chest rising up to the sky and just releasing into that back position.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I feel like I'm ready to, tackle anything now. So thank you again
Awesome.
for joining us today. And I think there's going to be a new summer session for the live warm-up, right?
There is. That's right. Details are going to be released probably within the next month, but stay tuned. And I'll be sure to let everyone know.
Yeah, so we'll make sure to link shawnapennock.com in the space below, and make sure that you're following Dr. Pennock on all the social media platforms. And I look forward to seeing you again in the warm-up fam.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.